Hello everybody, I'm Joel Humming, your guys' host for another great episode of Minecraft Monday, where today we're going to be doing something on a little bit of a different basis. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of detailing and spiffing up the general look of the whole entire area here with the village, the area around the stables and the mansion, and the mountain base, as well as the hobbit hole, because today we're going to be doing a bunch of flower work and maybe a tiny bit of terraforming. As you can see right now, we have a mass majority of just grass and things along those lines. There's not a lot of actual shapes and stuff like that, which, on the subject of that, the village, I actually am going to be probably making a very large decision through here, because after playing Minecraft for a while and building my own sort of building style and wanting to get into redstone, I may or may not be flattening the village and turning it into something different, because I don't fully know if I'm going to end up liking it or not, so may not do any detailing over there, but we will definitely be doing the mountain base area, the mansion, and the stables area. But this seems a little bit weird to make an episode based just on a little bit of terraforming and adding in some flowers and trees. So I'm going to be putting in a little bit more of a backbone to today's episode, because first, for today's video, we're actually going to be building a chest room inside of the mansion, because with the new A-frame towers on the center and the right and left side, we have some areas that are now empty and need something in them. And something that I actually need that I didn't have space for is a chest room. So we're going to be building a chest room in there, and then the second thing that we'll be doing in today's episode is adding a little bit more of a look to the inside of the hobbit hole, which you can see I built a while ago off camera. And as you can see here, this was also a little while ago, so my mind in actually detailing stuff wasn't too great. So I will be trying my best to add some nice oak wood log pillars on the side, some oak wood planks or something, just anything to spiff up the general look of this hobbit hole, so that when you look in from outside, you don't just see stone. And then, as the last thing for today's video, I'll do a nice time-lapse or something like that of just adding a bunch of trees, maybe some hills, flowers, all that jazz, and we will make this whole entire area look nice and pretty. So let's go ahead and start with building a chest room in the mansion. And to do this, we're actually going to need a lot of supplies like wood and stuff like that to build all these chests. So here in my block chest, we're going to be grabbing a bunch of wood to turn into planks, to turn into chests, and my existing planks so that we have enough to make the area look nice. So let's jump into the mansion and go ahead and start planning out where the whole entire base for the chests and everything is going to be. Okay, so here we are with the basic idea finished. So as you can see here, we have what is going to be hallways. So we will have basically a very small amount of walking space, it looks like. But I do like that idea where you have to sort of get crammed into small hallways for the storage. But I think I will just to complete the general look. So, quick check-in on the progress. I have actually made a slight modification. So before, I actually had the design such as this, where you have the chest exposed on the edge. Now, I didn't really like that, so I'm glad that I made the change, but I added another post of logs on each set of the sort of bases for the chests, and I really do like how it looked. It gives that more old sort of library-ish look, which is what I'm trying to go for here. So the only things that I need to do now are complete this large one on both sides, and then this one on this side. So let's go ahead and go plant some saplings and get a lot more wood so that we can make a lot more chests. So as you can see here, we have got a bunch of saplings planted now, about 57 if I'm not mistaken. You can see we've got a bunch over here and a bunch over there. They've been sitting for a couple moments now, so you can see that some of them are growing. Like this one literally just grew before I pressed record. And these two, actually, these must have like literally just grown. Because I believe when I pressed record, there were no actually grown trees over here, besides ones that I just hadn't collected all the wood out of. So while we wait for this, I actually can't do anything other than do a bunch of flowers, and I don't want to do that until I make my final decision on what I'm going to do with the village, which I have made a semi-final decision on what to do with it, and it does not play out too well for the village. Flattening it as what I'm going to be calling it, and turning this into actually, like, fields of plants and stuff like that. Okay, so here we are with the finished and finalized chest room for the time being. I say that because it very well could change in the future. And then I just added lanterns up here, and then torches on the corners, and then there aren't any on the ends here because that is where the signs are. So as you can see here, this one is sort of, I'm going to call these towers. This is Tower A1, so this is tools, weapons, and food. A2 is special items, miscellaneous, and horse gear. Over here is, actually this is B1, junk / mob drops. And then here we have B2, this is blocks, ore, and pre-build, so like things like this. Oak signs, crafting tables, furnaces, anything like that. And then we have some lanterns here in the middle, because from out here it does add a really nice look. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go inside of the mansion, or not actually, excuse me, I'm in the mansion. Going to go inside of the mountain base, strip the chest room, get everything out, steal the chests, and then it basically won't serve any purpose but to look sort of cool. So yeah, for this I'm just going to do a time lapse, so if you get nauseous easily, skip ahead a little bit to when I am done. boy, and here we are with all of the stuff from the mountain base moved into this chest room. So as I went over these signs earlier, they are still the same. The only thing that is different is I have added certain things to them. Like over here, I believe I added wood stuff, which actually it seems that I need to change that because it says ruse tough. But as you can see, there is blocks, wood stuff, ore, pre-builds, and redstone. And over here, I believe I added greenery and changed junk to random, because some of it isn't junk, it's just random stuff. Over here is special, miscellaneous, and horse armor. I don't think that changed, actually horse gear. And then over here, I also don't think this one changed. Oh yeah, I added armor. So there is the chest room in all of its glory right now, with all the lanterns, the nice towers of chest rooms, and the nice signs organizing all of it. But on the other side, I am not going to be making a chest room, but I am going to be using the same, like, actual sort of plan. So everything will be in the same spot, but instead of all of the chests, we will have a library in here. So you can see that I did actually start putting another chest room in here, but I'm going to take these out, and we will be putting a library in here to store just some books, or like the bookshelves, which are just for decorations mostly, but it will blend in with being able to store all of our enchanted books in here, and conveniently, it is right next to the enchanting table. And let's go ahead and build up this library. Hello everybody, welcome back. I have now completed the library, so as you can see here, it is just basically the chest room, but as I had said earlier with the bookcases. Now it has actually been quite a while, because in the last clip that you guys would have seen, I was actually quite dreading having to do this, because getting bookcases and actually having to make them with the planks and the books is quite hard. So I was thinking about going to the original stronghold that me and Deegan found way out there in a live stream, but thankfully I did another live stream a while ago and actually found the stronghold, the portal, went a little bit of end busting with my friend Deegan, and I have now gotten a bunch of good stuff, like I've mending on my helmet, my leggings, the elytra, and then my sword and my pick do have it, but I won't be putting it on my shovel and my axe, because I do like having a little bit more to do here in Minecraft than just watch these magically go up in health. But yeah, so as you can see here, I did find that stronghold, and I looted it with the Silk Touch axe. So I put all of those bookcases in here, made a bunch of barrels, and here we are now. So as you can see, these smaller towers that are 3 by, I believe, 6 blocks have 5 barrels in them. So there's one on either side and one on this side, and then there's 2 on this side. And the same goes for here, 1, 1, and then the other side 1, and then there's 2 there. And then this one is the same, 5, and then this one is about double. This one actually has 10, so there's 1 on either side and 4 on either side, opposing to just the 2 and the 1. Okay, so we've got a bunch of wood now. Hopefully it will be enough, and we're going to be using this to transform the walls of the hobbit hole. So, as I said earlier, what I want to try to go for is some pillars of oak log on the corners, and then oak planks on the edges, and then we'll run some stairs along the top. Somehow, I think that actually won't work because of things like the fireplace and stuff like that. But speaking of the fireplace, before anything absolutely horrible happens, I'm going to put the fire out so that nothing starts burning. So yeah, let's go and start another time lapse, and we'll start by simply just mining out every block that we need to replace, and then I'll start messing around with where I'm going to place certain blocks. Okay, so I have now finished the makeover for the Hobbit hole, and I really do like how it came out. It accents the interior a lot better than the stone, if you ask me. You have the pillars with the oak log here. I should probably get the flint and steel out of my hand before something bad happens. And the roof is, or actually the ceiling, excuse me, is made out of planks, just like the mass majority of the wall. So I am in a copy of the world right now, just so that if anything bad happens when I light the fire, I know what to change. So I want to go ahead and try to leave this for a while and see. Yeah, that's bad. So what can I do to fix that? And here we are with the new design. So I'm going to go ahead and like this, and based on what happened in the copy, I believe this doesn't have anywhere to actually catch on to make everything burn. So this is a lot more dangerous, whereas before we just had the floor that would burn, and then that was it, and also the detailing out here with the spruce wood. But now we have the walls and the ceiling that can all burn. So I really hope that this is a successful design, because the more I look at it, the more I grow to like it. And now that we have completed the library, the chest room, the spiffing up, and the nice detailing that we've done to the Hobbit hole, I do believe it is actually time to go ahead and start, spiffing up the general area, putting flowers, maybe building some custom trees, doing a little bit of terraforming, and you might notice I have a name tag. Yeah, and that is because there's actually two of me right now. Sure, that was a little bit weird. But I'm going to be using the weird trick of having two accounts and using one that is just sort of like in creative, flying up and getting a nice overhead view of while I build. And we'll go ahead and start over in front, well actually behind the mountain base, and then we'll go ahead and move our way through the general area of the village. So, let's get started. And welcome back, everybody. So we are now finished with the little bit of terraforming that I have done, and the overall look of the general area has gotten a lot better since you guys last saw it, with obviously a lot of flowers, as you might be able to see there behind me. But I'm going to go ahead and stand up here just for a moment and explain a little bit of what I did, and then we'll go ahead and step down to the ground, and I'll go ahead and show you guys in a bit more detail. So I'm going to go ahead and briefly go over the part that actually didn't get caught in the time lapse first. This is sort of like the little crop area. Now, I would have already planted stuff, and I started to, but if I planted stuff and it all grew, you wouldn't actually be able to see how the water sources and everything is working. So as you can see, we've got a nice pathway going through the middle. Got some inspiration from a YouTuber named Jurcraft. He is a guy that does a bunch of like fantasy Minecraft builds, and his sort of walkways going through the middle of crop fields I really liked, so I took inspiration and built this sort of in this corner. I also flattened some of the village, so if you recall, this general side of the hill declined a lot faster and was a much steeper slope, and I sort of gave it a nice look and gave it some water sources along the walkway through the middle and a bunch of crop areas. And then just added some flowers. There is my own little tree, which, as you can see, there is a fence post on top, which is taking inspiration from another Minecraft YouTuber. Yeah, it goes by the name of Pixel Riffs. He is another guy that does like survival guides and stuff like that for Minecraft. And then I did leave the smithing village building for one reason. It's 1.16. But as you can see, other than that, I've just added a bunch of bone meal around, so there's a bunch of just sort of randomly assorted flowers, and then you might notice there is some of those purple flowers. What are those called? These are allium. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to the ground for you guys here, and we'll go ahead and start with the crop area. So as you can see here, this side of the pathway is actually just a little bit cut off, like you can see here if I were to dig that. You can see that there is actually still a bit more of the pathway back there, but in order to blend in the little hill here, it had to be covered up a little bit. But we've got a nice little sunflower patch here with that custom tree, taking inspiration from Pixel Rift with the little oak fence up there on the top to show like the thinnest part of the branches. And then walking up these oak stairs, you can see here that on these hills, there are water sources by one block running along the back of each patch. And then there is one block in between where the crops begin and where the actual pathway begins. So we can walk up here, and as you can see, there's nothing too out of the ordinary up here from what I just said. Bunch of crops, and from this angle, it sort of looks cool because it looks like there's just no water, and it's just crops all the way down. But yeah, so at the top here, I'm thinking of putting some little, like, maybe outpost tiny thing, like maybe just a tiny itty bitty shack with like a crafting table to show that this would like hold supplies for stuff like that. So I'd put like seeds and maybe I was thinking of shares or something of that nature to show that that is sort of like the area for taking care of or managing this general crop area. And then over here on the other side of the stable, you can see here that I added a tiny pathway going to this chest that I put there a while ago. I don't really remember why though. But as you can see here, we got the composter or composter, however you want to say it. And then I also took on adding just some random pumpkins, because I think that they make a nice little decoration piece. Like there's a tiny little stack of them in the corner. I don't know what it is about it, but it adds a little bit more color to the general area because you don't really see a lot of orange around here. But yeah, so over here just more bone meal and some little bushes that I made up with just some oak leaves. And then moving over here behind the stable, this is the old crop area, which I will still be using because that side is going to be for food, but it's a little bit more for cosmetics and looks than this side is. And then, yeah, so we've got more bone meal placing, once again, some of those purple flowers. And then moving over here, past stable number 3, you can see we've got a couple more sunflowers here, and some more bone meal randomly assorted throughout here, and a little bush back there because I thought the cobblestone back here looked kind of weird, so I wanted to hide a little bit of it. And then we did do stuff behind the house as well. But now moving it to the back of the mansion, we can go ahead and take a look at some things that have happened back here. So once again, with the little stack of pumpkins, look, this one is actually one of my favorites. More bone meal around here, and then since we have shut down the mountain base by now, and the inside is undergoing heavy construction right now. So stay tuned for upcoming episodes where we turn this into a lab. And since it's supposed to be abandoned from the outside, I turned this pathway just into a little bit of a sort of ran down look. Like you can see here, it's not really noticeable, but I tried to make it look like bits of the stairway are sort of like crumbling away, and the same goes for the walkway. So I just added these are actually stairways, and yeah, so it gave sort of like a crumbling look to the overall look of the walkway. And then moving over this way to the enchanting tree, you can see we've got more randomly assorted bone meal, another little stack of pumpkins. Here is the enchanting tree with more bone meal around it. And then over here we do actually have a little sort of like ruin out here on the edge of this mountain, and it sort of looks like smaller than it really is when you look at it next to the mansion, which compared to it is absolutely massive. But anyway, here on the side of the house, this is the time-lapse that you guys would have actually seen. This is where I did a bit of terraforming over here, but unfortunately I did have my phone connected to my Xbox One controller to be able to maneuver a little bit, so as it transitions into night, you notice that it looks like I'm not really done with the bottom half of this terraforming portion, where I took a lot of the mountain off and made it look less sort of pyramid-shaped, I guess. And that is because that is when the little thing came up and said your remote has disconnected, so it would have looked very weird cutting to the middle of day in Minecraft when I got the controller back on. But you can see here that we've got more sunflowers randomly assorted throughout here on the side of the house. And I do like how the hill does actually have a bit of a curve now, rather than last time when it was literally just a big pyramid shape, if you know what I mean. And then we did some nice design changes into the inside of the hobbit hole, and we built a chest room and a library. So with that being said, I believe that is a good time to end the video. So as usual, if you guys have any questions on how I built anything, or if you just want to ask anything in the comments, I will be free to answer questions down there. So if you guys enjoyed the video,